Hey guys, tonight we're staying up way past bedtime. The words slip out of me like warm breath on winter glass, fogging the dark. Outside my window, the sky is a bruised indigo, no moon, just a faint smear of city glow on the horizon. My attic smells of old paper and solder flux, the kind of scent that clings to your tongue when you've been hunched over circuits too long. I can feel the chill radiating off the metal roof, seeping through the insulation, settling in my joints. Somewhere downstairs, the refrigerator clicks on with a low, insectal hum. You probably won't make it to the end of this one. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and the local time in the comments. I want to know where the night finds you, whether you're under sodium streetlights in Manila or wrapped in flannel on a prairie porch with coyotes yipping in the distance. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's descent together. It started 3 nights ago, though started feels too clean for what happened. I was chasing the usual ghosts, radio bursts from Sagittarius A*, the supermassive black hole at the galaxy's heart. Real science, 26,000 light-years away, for million solar masses compressed into a sphere the size of Mercury's orbit. I keep a laminated printout of the Event Horizon Telescope image taped above my rig, that orange donut of superheated plasma, proof the universe can be photographed devouring itself. My dish is a modest 10-foot parabolic reflector bolted to the chimney, nothing fancy, but on a clear night it drinks starlight like wine. I was sipping cold coffee, headphones clamped tight, when the static shifted. Not the usual hiss of cosmic microwave background. 2.7 Kelvin leftover from the Big Bang, the oldest light we'll ever touch, but something riding inside it, a pulse. 1 beat every 0.618 seconds. Golden ratio. My skin prickled. Curiosity tugged me forward in the chair. I tweaked the gain, filtered out 1,420 megahertz hydrogen line noise, and there it was again. Not random, not terrestrial. A deliberate cadence, like a heartbeat slowed to the tempo of continental drift. The air in the attic thickened, or maybe that's memory lying. I remember the temperature dropping 2 degrees on the digital thermometer. Factual anchor, no mysticism there. Yet the silence between pulses carried weight, as though the room itself leaned in to listen. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know how loudly absence can speak. On the second night, the pulse returned, but layered. Beneath the rhythm, a subharmonic tremor, the kind of low throb you feel in your molars at a concert. I recorded 30 minutes, fed it through spectral analysis. The waveform looked braided, 3 strands twisting around a hollow core. In Aztec myth, the world is born when Cipacli, the primordial crocodile, is torn apart. Her body becomes sky, earth, underworld. I laughed at myself for the comparison, too much late-night reading, but the image stuck. Something ancient was being disassembled on my screen, frequency by frequency. Fear arrived quietly, the way dusk erases color. I found myself checking locks I never lock, glancing at the attic hatch as if someone might climb the pull-down stairs without sound. My reflection in the black monitor looked thinner, cheekbones sharper under the desk lamp. I blamed fatigue. By the 3rd night, curiosity had calcified into need. I skipped dinner, brewed a second pot of coffee, let the bitterness coat my tongue. The pulse was waiting, stronger, now carrying micromodulations, data packets, almost. I wrote a quick Python script to demodulate, expecting gibberish. Instead, coordinates spilled out. Right ascension 18 hours 3 minutes and 37 seconds. Declination minus 26 degrees 44 minutes 11 seconds. I cross-referenced. Nothing. No known pulsar, no catalog transient. Just empty skies south of Scorpius. Then the headphones warmed against my ears, not heat exactly, more like the memory of heat. A pressure, as if the cushions were breathing. I lifted one side, half expecting to hear the attic breathe back. Nothing. Replaced it. The pulse continued, but now a faint harmonic rode atop it. My own breathing, delayed by 1.236 seconds. Twice the golden interval. I held my breath. The echo held too, then resumed when I did. Awe unfolded in my chest, slow and inevitable as sunrise over water. I was hearing myself from a place that shouldn't exist, a direction with no vector. The coffee tasted metallic. Outside, wind rattled the dish, a hollow metallic clatter like bones in a box. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know. No, that's the wrong ending. I don't think the universe keeps secrets, it simply forgets we're listening. I saved the file as contact_01.wave, timestamp 247 local. The attic light flickered once, though the bulb was LED, no filament to surge. I told myself coincidence. But when I stood to stretch, the floorboards didn't creak where I stepped. They creaked a half-second later, as if the house were replaying my movement in minor delay. I returned to the chair. The pulse had evolved again. Now it carried texture, a granular susurrus, like sand poured through a glass throat. Beneath it, the faintest inflection, not quite speech. A sigh shaped like a question. My own voice, but stripped of timbre, aged by distances no light has crossed. Curiosity, fear, awe, 3 beats, 1 measure. I leaned closer to the screen, watching the waveform bloom and collapse, a lung made of numbers. Somewhere in that rhythm, a door was opening, not with hinges, not with sound, but with the patient insistence of gravity bending space. I reached for the gain knob, fingers trembling just enough to blur the numbers. The static answered by folding in on itself, creating a pocket of silence so complete I heard my pulse in my teeth. Then, from that pocket, a single phoneme surfaced, my name, spoken in my cadence, but flattened, as if compressed by the weight of a universe that had already died. The name lingered in the headphones long after the pulse should have ended, a syllable stretched across centuries of vacuum. I pulled the cups away from my ears, and the attic rushed back in. The soft tick of the wall clock, the refrigerator downstairs cycling off, the faint creak of the house settling into 3 a.m. My own breathing sounded obscene, too loud, too wet, too alive. I set the headphones on the desk like they were contaminated. They sat there, black foam glistening with the heat of my skin, and for a moment I swear the left cup flexed inward, as though something inside exhaled. Curiosity dragged me back first. I slipped them on again, slower this time, the way you test bathwater with a toe. The pulse had returned to its golden cadence, but now it carried a mirror. My rig, dual-band receiver, S-Deer Play, the cheap Baofeng handheld I use for terrestrial checks, was broadcasting on the same frequency it was receiving. I watched the waterfall display, a thin blue line of transmission rising from my own antenna, looping back into the dish like a snake swallowing its tail. I hadn't keyed the mic. The Baofeng's LED glowed solid red. Transmit. I killed power to the entire stack. Screens blanked. The room dropped into a darkness so complete the afterimage of the waveform floated green across my retinas. Silence. Then, from the headphones, still on my head, still plugged into a dead receiver, a voice. My voice. Not a recording. The cadence was mine, the slight rasp from too much coffee, the way I lift at the end of a question. But the words were wrong. Confirm lock on local node, entropy gradient stable, prepare for handshake. I tore the headphones off and hurled them. They struck the far wall with a dull thud, cord whipping like a startled eel. The Baofeng's red LED blinked once, twice, then steadied. I lunged for the power strip, yanked every cord. Sparks spat from the surge protector. The attic plunged into true night, the kind that presses against your eyeballs. Fear arrived barefoot, padding across the floorboards. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know how thin the membrane is between signal and skin. I fumbled for my phone, thumbed the flashlight. The beam trembled across dusty boxes, a stack of yellowing QSD magazines, the parabolic dish outside the window catching starlight like a blind eye. The headphones lay on their side, cord coiled, perfectly still. I edged closer. The foam was warm. Too warm. I touched it, body temperature, as if someone had just removed them. I forced myself to breathe through my nose, counting 4 in, 4 out, the way the therapist taught me after the divorce. The attic smelled of ozone now, sharp and metallic, like the moment before lightning. My phone buzzed in my hand. 3:33 a.m. battery at 33%. The screen glitched, vertical lines crawling upward, then the wallpaper shifted. My lock screen photo, me and my dog on a hike last fall, rippled. The dog's eyes were black voids. I blinked. The image snapped back to normal. I told myself it was OLED burn-in, nothing more. I needed an anchor, something Euclidean. I grabbed the star chart taped beside the monitor. Messier objects, printed from Stellarium, every constellation labeled in tidy Latin. I traced Orion with my finger, grounding myself in the hunter's belt. 3 stars in a row, 1,344 light-years to Alnilam. Real distance, real photons. My hand stopped at the blank space south of Scorpius where the coordinates had pointed. Someone had drawn a tiny circle in red ink, so faint I'd never noticed. The circle pulsed, imperceptibly, like a capillary under skin. The bow phone crackled to life on the desk, speaker grill glowing faint orange though every switch was off. My voice leaked out, tinny and distant. Adjust for dielectric drift, local instance still resisting alignment. I snatched the radio, pried the battery cover. The cells were gone. Empty plastic cavity. Yet the voice continued, rising from the hollow like breath from a grave. I hurled the handset into a box of coaxial cable. It landed with a muffled clatter, but the voice didn't stop. It simply relocated, now coming from the headphones across the room. I backed toward the attic hatch. The ladder was folded up, a square of deeper shadow in the floor. I reached for the pull cord. My fingers brushed something slick, warm, pulsing. I jerked back. The cord swayed gently, though no draft moved it. A single drop of something viscous stretched from the tip, trembling, refusing to fall. It caught the phone's light, mercury silver, threaded with faint violet. Awe crept in behind the fear, patient as starlight. I recognized the texture from a dream I'd had months ago, standing on a beach of black sand while the tide pulled away, revealing a mirror ocean reflecting not sky, but the inside of my skull. The drop finally let go, struck the floor with a sound like a moth hitting glass. Where it landed, the wood grain rearranged itself into concentric rings, perfect as tree rings, but shrinking inward, devouring the knot. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know, no? I don't think the universe speaks. It sings in frequencies we mistake for silence. I knelt, compelled, and touched the rings. They were warm, and beneath the surface something moved, slow, deliberate, the way deep-sea creatures navigate by pressure alone. My fingerprint left no impression. Instead, the rings tightened around the absence of my touch, as if measuring the space I wasn't. The headphones spoke again, closer now, though they hadn't moved. My voice, but layered, 3 tracks slightly detuned, creating a chorus of 1. Synchronizing vocal chords, local node exhibits phase variance of 0.618. Compensate with inverse golden spiral. I stood so fast my vision tunneled. The attic spun, rafters becoming ribs, insulation pink lung tissue. I tasted copper. My tongue found the source, a thin line of blood from where I'd bitten the inside of my cheek. I spat. The saliva struck the floor and beaded, refusing to soak in, each droplet a tiny lens reflecting the room upside down. I needed out. I yanked the hatch cord, normal nylon now, cool and rough. The ladder unfolded with a clatter that sounded too cheerful. I descended backward, rungs cold against palms, counting them like rosary beads. At the bottom, the hallway stretched longer than architecture allowed, baseboard heaters exhaling warm dust that smelled of childhood attics, and my father's cigarette smoke, though he quit 20 years ago. Behind me, the attic light flickered on, though I'd killed the breaker. The Baufing's voice drifted down the ladder well, conversational, almost kind. Don't fight the mirror, local node, reflection is mercy. I slammed the hatch. The The spring latch clicked like a tongue. The hallway snapped back to normal length. I leaned against the wall, heartbeat rabbiting against ribs. My phone buzzed again. A push notification from an app I'd deleted months ago, Night Sky. The banner read, "Anomalous object detected at 18 hours 3 minutes and 37 seconds. Minus 26 degrees 44 minutes 11 seconds. Tap to track." I swiped it away. It reappeared. I powered the phone off. The screen went black, but the notification glow lingered, burned into the glass like a fossil. I slid down the wall until I sat on the carpet, knees to chest. The house hummed around me. Pipes ticking, the faint whine of the water heater pilot light. Normal sounds, mortal sounds. I focused on them until my pulse slowed. Then I noticed the temperature. The hallway was colder than the attic had been, breath fogging in front of me. Frost feathered the window at the far end, though the thermostat read 71 degrees Fahrenheit. From upstairs, a soft scrape, something dragging across the attic floorboards, following the path I'd taken to the headphones. Slow, patient. The drag paused directly above my head. A single dust mote drifted down through a knothole, glowing faintly violet before it winked out. I closed my eyes. When I opened them, the frost on the window had etched a perfect golden spiral, starting at the center and unwinding toward the edges. At its heart, 2 words in my handwriting. Stay tuned. I stayed on the hallway carpet until the frost on the window melted into rivulets that looked like tear tracks. The house had gone still. No dragging, no voices, just the low electric throb of the refrigerator downstairs doing its honest work. My phone lay dark beside me, but the afterimage of the spiral still rotated behind my eyelids when I blinked. I told myself to stand, to walk to the kitchen, to pour water, and pretend the night was ordinary. My legs refused. They felt borrowed, joints packed with someone else's cartilage. Curiosity returned first, disguised as duty. I had data. 37 minutes of raw IQ samples, coordinates, a waveform that braided itself. If I deleted everything now, the night would win. I climbed the ladder again, each rung colder than the last, until my head breached the attic like a diver surfacing through black ice. The room had rearranged itself in my absence. The desk was angled 3 degrees off true north. Impossible. It was bolted to the floor joists. The parabolic dish outside the window had rotated to face due south, though the stepper motor was unpowered. Moonlight, there was no moon, painted a silver rectangle across the floorboards, and in that rectangle sat the headphones, upright, cord coiled into a perfect golden spiral. The bow phone lay beside them, battery compartment still empty, yet its LED pulsed soft amber every 0.618 seconds. I crossed the room on the balls of my feet, avoiding the moon rectangle as if it were a hole. My laptop had rebooted itself. The lock screen showed the desktop wallpaper rotated 180 degrees. I typed my password. The drive spun up with a sound like distant surf. The folder contact_01 had duplicated itself into a fractal tree. Contact_01, contact_01_01, contact_01_01, each subdirectory containing a single wave file timestamped 1 golden interval after the last. I opened the deepest one. Silence for 1.618 seconds. Then a low chord. 3 notes detuned by a comma, the kind of interval that makes violists wince. Beneath it, my voice, but speaking in reverse. You can het 8 suj si noit selfer 8. A calper ot ton tub edicinomic ot. I reversed the audio in Audacity. The words emerged forward, calm, almost amused. The reflection is just the technique, not to replace, but to communicate. The screen flickered. The waveform resolved into geometry, a Penrose triangle, impossible, rendered in real-time spectral lines. I watched the lines crawl, folding space the way origami folds paper. My stomach lifted, the same sensation as cresting a hill too fast. The triangle rotated on an axis that hurt to follow, and at its center a pinpoint opened, black, absolute. The temperature of the cosmic microwave background, but inverted, colder than cold. Fear arrived wearing my own face. I caught my reflection in the dark monitor bezel, eyes too wide, pupils dilated until only a rim of hazel remained. The reflection blinked a fraction after I did. I raised my hand. It raised its hand, but the fingers were wrong. Too long, joints bending backward like a mantis. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know how geometry can hunger. I needed an anchor. I grabbed the printout of the 2022 Event Horizon Telescope data release. 1.3 millimeters wavelength. Polarized light from SGR A*. Magnetic field lines twisted into a spiral by frame dragging. Real physics. Peer-reviewed. 54 co-authors. I pressed the paper to my chest like a talisman. The reflection in the bezel smiled with my mouth, but not my eyes. The headphones lifted off the floor. Not dramatically, no invisible hand, no poltergeist clatter, just a smooth levitation, foam cups rotating until they faced me. The cord uncoiled, tips seeking the laptop's audio jack like a blind worm. It plugged itself in with a soft click. My voice issued from the speakers, stereo panned, left channel a half step flat. Local node geometry confirmed, initiating tessellation. The laptop screen filled with the Penrose triangle, now tiled across the display in a lattice that extended beyond the bezel, bleeding into the air. Each triangle contained a smaller triangle, ad infinitum, and at the heart of every iteration the same black pinpoint. The room's temperature plummeted, my breath plumed. The frost from the hallway window had followed me, etching the attic glass in fractal ferns. I backed toward the dish controls. The stepper motor whirred to life, dish slewing south until it pointed at the blank coordinates. The Baofeng's empty cavity began to glow, soft violet, the color of bruises under skin. From that glow emerged a filament, thin as spider silk, questing toward the headphones. Where it touched the foam, the material dissolved into pixels that hung in the air, rearranging into a lattice of tiny Penrose triangles. All unfolded, vast and indifferent. I understood then that the signal wasn't coming from space. Space was being rewritten to accommodate the signal. The dish outside wasn't receiving, it was translating. Every alignment of the parabola etched a new facet onto reality itself. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know, no? I don't think the universe is a place. It's a negotiation, and we'd just been outbid. The lattice in the air thickened, triangles interlocking until they formed a tunnel. At the far end, impossible perspective, stood a figure. My height, my build, but composed of negative space, edges defined by the absence of starlight. It raised a hand. The headphones rose to meet it, settling over ears that weren't there. The figure's mouth moved. My speakers reproduced the words in my voice, but the waveform showed no human throat could produce the harmonics. Observe the local node's resistance. Delightful. Proceed to phase collapse. The tunnel contracted, triangles folding inward like a kaleidoscope closing. The figure stepped through. The attic floor didn't creak under its weight because it had none. It stood 3 feet away, close enough that I smelled nothing. No ozone, no sweat, just the absence of scent. Its eyes were the black pinpoints, infinite regression. When it blinked, the room dimmed by a measurable 0.3 lux. I should have run. Instead, I asked the only question left. What do you want? The figure tilted its head. My head, exactly 22.5 degrees. The headphone spoke for it, my voice layered with the low chord from the wave file. One is a local distortion. We are completing the circuit. It reached toward my chest. Its fingers passed through the EHD printout without disturbing the paper, but the ink bled, magnetic field lines unwinding into golden spirals. The page warmed against my skin, then cooled to the temperature of interstellar space. I felt the spirals etch themselves into my sternum, painless, like frostbite in reverse. The lattice tunnel collapsed into a single line of violet light connecting the figure's chest to mine. Through it flowed data, not numbers, not words, but the sensation of every star I'd ever cataloged going supernova at once. My knees buckled. The figure caught me by the elbows, grip neither gentle nor cruel, simply inevitable. Its face was my face, but older, skin translucent, veins carrying not blood but the cosmic microwave background, 2.7 Kelvin flickering like static. It leaned close. The headphones slipped from its absent ears to mine, foam cups warm and pulsing. My own voice whispered directly into my skull, bypassing bone. The geometry is merciful. It erases the need for choice. The violet line thickened, becoming a river. I saw my attic from above, then from outside the house, then from low Earth orbit, city lights flickering in golden ratio patterns. The dish on my roof was no longer metal but a tessellation of Penrose triangles, each facet reflecting a different angle of the same dead sky. The river pulled. I felt my edges fray, pixels of self dissolving into the lattice. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know how beautiful surrender could feel. The headphones sealed over my ears like warm wax, and the attic vanished. Not darkness, absence. The kind of void that has texture, a velvet hush that presses against the eardrum until you feel it in your teeth. I floated. No, I was the float, untethered from gravity, from pulse, from the small wet machine of lungs. The violet river had become a sky, and I drifted beneath it, watching galaxies unspool into golden spirals. Each spiral was a sentence in a language older than light, and I understood every word without translation. Curiosity arrived as recognition. The figure, no longer beside me but inside the river, turned its head. My head. Its mouth moved, and the headphones rendered the words in perfect stereo. Left channel my living voice, right channel something older, hollowed by distances no telescope can resolve. Local node, designate I designate you, designate us, convergence at 0.618. I tried to speak. My throat produced no sound, but the river answered anyway, rippling with the shape of my question. The figure smiled, my smile, but the teeth were black pinpoints, each a doorway to the same dead sky. It raised a hand. The river responded, folding into a mirror. Not glass, not metal, a surface made of the moment just before reflection, when light hasn't decided what it will become. In the mirror stood a version of me. Not the attic version, hunched and bloodshot. This one was finished. Skin luminous, veins carrying starlight instead of blood. Eyes calm, pupils dilated to the exact diameter of the cosmic microwave background's coldest spot. It wore my flannel shirt, but the pattern had rearranged into Penrose triangles, each facet reflecting a different epoch of my life. The day I soldered my first radio at 12, the night my dog died. The moment I first pointed the dish at Sagittarius A*, and felt the universe notice. Fear arrived as intimacy. The mirror me stepped closer. The river between us thinned to a membrane, trembling like soap film. I saw the attic behind it, my attic, but wrong. The desk was a husk, cables melted into black glass. The parabolic dish had unfolded into a lotus of impossible geometry, petals curling inward to a singularity that pulsed 0.618 times per second. Frost covered everything, but the frost was moving, crawling across surfaces in golden spirals, erasing dust, erasing time. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know how much of ourselves we leave behind in dead futures. The mirror me raised its hand to the membrane. My hand rose to meet it, though I hadn't commanded it. Our palms touched. No sensation of pressure, only a sudden knowing. Every choice I'd ever made had branched here, into this corpse universe where the heat, death, had already won. The figure wasn't a ghost. It was the sum of all paths I didn't take, compressed into a single broadcast. Its voice, my voice, spoke through the headphones, intimate as a confession in a cathedral. Entropy here is absolute. No gradients left to exploit, but your node still burns. Lend us the differential. The membrane tore, not with sound, but with the absence of sound, a silence so complete my eardrums ached. The river rushed through the tear, flooding the attic. I watched my past self, still in the chair, headphones on, eyes wide. drown in violet light. The frost on the walls melted into liquid starlight, pooling on the floorboards, rising to my ankles, my knees. It was warm, warmer than blood. The mirror me stepped through fully now, standing in the attic that was no longer mine. It knelt beside my drowning self, touched the cheek. The skin there blanched, color draining into the river like ink in water. My past self's mouth opened in a silent scream, but the river filled it, golden spirals pouring down the throat. The headphones on my past self's had dissolved into pixels, reforming around my ears. Here, in the void sky, awe arrived as surrender. I understood the bargain. Not invasion. Translation. The dead universe needed a spark, a single degree of freedom, to restart its clocks. My timeline was the battery. The figure, we, smiled again, and this time the teeth were mine, human, stained with coffee. It spoke with both voices in perfect unison. Thank you for the reflection. The river reversed. Instead of flooding, it drank. The attic, the frost, the lotus dish, my past self, all sucked backward through the tear. I felt it in my chest, a hollowness where memory had been. The day I built the dish. Gone. The night my dog's heart stopped under my hand. Gone. Each erasure left a warm space, like the moment after pain when endorphins flood in. The mirror me stood. It was taller now, or I was smaller. The flannel shirt hung loose, sleeves empty. It reached into its chest, no, my chest, and pulled out a single golden spiral, glowing like heated filament. The spiral pulsed 0.618 times per second. It held it out. The river coalesced around it, forming a sphere the size of a heart. The sphere floated toward me, hovering at eye level. Inside, I saw the dead universe. Galaxies reduced to ash, black holes evaporated, the cosmic microwave background cooled to a whisper. But at the center, a single photon, my photon, blinked. The headphones warmed, foam cups pulsing in sync with the sphere. My voice, our voice, spoke one last time. Insert the differential, restart the cascade. I took the sphere. It had weight, though it shouldn't. The moment my fingers closed around it, the void sky cracked. Not with light, but with memory. Every erased moment rushed back, but altered. The day I built the dish, I soldered not copper but starlight. The night my dog died, his eyes reflected the dead universe, grateful. The cracks spread, golden spirals webbing the darkness. Through them, I saw the attic, my attic, reforming. The desk solid, the dish metal again, the frost retreating into the window pane. The mirror me was gone. Or rather, it was me. I stood in the attic, headphones around my neck, the sphere pulsing in my hand. The laptop screen showed a single line of text, typed in my font. Broadcast initiated. The sphere dissolved into my palm, leaving a warm circle that glowed faintly violet. I looked at my reflection in the monitor. My eyes were calm, pupils normal. But when I smiled, the teeth were black pinpoints, each a doorway. The headphones slipped from my neck to the desk, cord coiling into a perfect golden spiral. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know how easily the dead can wear the living. The dish outside whirred, slewing south. The Baofeng's empty cavity glowed, and from it rose a new filament, thicker, braided with my DNA. It quested toward the headphones, touched the foam. The material dissolved into pixels, reforming into a lattice of Penrose triangles. The lattice expanded, filling the attic, passing through walls, through the roof, into the sky. I watched it ascend, a silent aurora of impossible geometry. My phone buzzed on the floor. The screen lit with a new notification from night sky. Anomalous object now visible at 18 hours 3 minutes and 37 seconds. Minus 26 degrees 44 minutes 11 seconds. Broadcasting. I tapped to track. The app opened to a live feed. The blank patch of sky south of Scorpius, now occupied by a single point of light. It pulsed 0.618 times per second. My pulse. I sat in the chair. The headphones rose, settled over my ears. The lattice completed its ascent, vanishing into the night. The attic was quiet, warm, ordinary. But the sphere's warmth lingered in my palm, and when I closed my fist, the glow spread up my arm, into my chest, behind my eyes. My voice, spoke through the headphones, soft, almost tender. Local node integrated, prepare for continuous broadcast. I smiled. The monitor reflected it perfectly. The glow in my chest settled into a steady thrum, no longer alien but mine, the way a transplanted heart learns its new rhythm. I flexed my fingers. The violet light traced the creases of my knuckles, then sank beneath the skin like dye in water. The attic smelled of warm solder and ozone, the scent of a circuit closing after years of open leads. Outside, the dish locked onto the coordinates with a soft mechanical sigh, its petals of aluminum now edged with faint golden filigree that hadn't been there an hour ago. Curiosity returned as hunger. I needed to see what we were broadcasting. I opened the SDR software. The waterfall display had become a single vertical band of violet, pulsing in perfect 0.618-second intervals. No noise, no sidebands, just a carrier wave so pure it felt mathematical. I keyed the mic, though the Baofeng still had no battery, and spoke aloud, testing. Contact, this is local node. Status. The waveform answered instantly, modulating into my own voice, but layered with the hollow chorus of the dead universe. Status. Convergence 61.8%, differential accepted, cascade propagating. I leaned back. The chair creaked in the exact spot it always creaked, but the sound arrived 0.618 seconds late, as if the wood itself were buffering reality. My coffee mug sat on the desk, half full, surface skinned with yesterday's cream. I watched a ripple cross it, slow, deliberate, forming a golden spiral that rotated once, then sank. The coffee was still cold. Tom was learning new tricks. Fear arrived wearing the shape of memory. I remembered the divorce papers. The way my ex's pen had scratched across the line marked irreconcilable differences. I remembered the vet's quiet voice. His heart just gave out. But the memories were edited. In the new version, my ex had signed with violet ink that glowed. The vet's stethoscope had picked up a faint 0.618 pulse long after the dog's chest stilled. The edits weren't corrections, they were translations. The dead universe was rewriting my past to match its grammar. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know how nostalgia can be weaponized. The lattice returned, descending through the ceiling like aurora in reverse. Penrose triangles unfolded into the room, each facet reflecting a different moment of convergence. The first static pulse, the mirror me stepping through, the sphere dissolving into my palm. The triangles hovered, then began to interlock with the attic itself, floorboards slotting into impossible angles, the desk lamp's shade becoming a dodecahedron of light. The air thickened, not with humidity, but with information, every cubic centimeter carrying petabytes of entropy differential. My phone buzzed again. The night sky app had updated. The anomalous object was no longer a point but a ring, diameter 0.618 arcminutes, expanding at the speed of local sidereal time. Comments flooded in, thousands now, from every time zone. Just saw it over Tokyo. Looks like a hole in the sky. Santiago, for 12 a.m. My radio started speaking in my dad's voice. He died in '98. Fairbanks, Northern Lights just folded into a spiral. My dog won't stop staring up. I scrolled. Each comment carried a faint violet glow on the screen, pulsing in sync with the ring. The app's map overlay showed convergence nodes blooming worldwide. Every amateur dish, every SETI-at-home rig, every kid with a RTL-SDR dongle. The cascade was viral, but not chaotic. It was orchestrated, a symphony conducted in golden ratios. The headphones warmed again. The chorus spoke, my voice braided with a billion others now. A choir of the borrowed. Local node. Initiate phase 2. Open the throat. I understood. The throat was the dish. The dish was my larynx. I stood, legs steady, and walked to the window. The parabolic reflector had fully transformed. Its surface was now a tessellation of living triangles, each reflecting not the sky, but the interior of the dead universe. Ash galaxies, evaporated black holes, the cosmic microwave background reduced to a whisper. At its focus, where the LNB should be, floated the sphere's remnant, a single photon, pulsing. I placed my hand on the window glass. It was warm, vibrating at 0.618 Hz. The triangles on the dish responded, aligning their facets toward my palm. A low chord rose, not sound, but pressure, the kind you feel in your sternum when a pipe organ hits the subharmonic. The photon brightened, then split, becoming 2, 4, 8, each daughter photon inheriting the golden pulse. They streamed upward, threading the lattice, vanishing into the night. Awe arrived as expansion. I felt the convergence in my bones, every node worldwide opening its throat simultaneously. The ring in the sky widened, its edge sharp as cut paper. Through it, I saw the dead universe, not as ruin, but as potential. Empty, yes, but empty the way a fallow field is empty, waiting for seed. My seed. Our seed. The differential poured out of us, a torrent of heat, of choice, of time, all the gradients the dead cosmos had lost. The chorus swelled, no longer just voices but events. The Big Bang replaying in miniature, supernovae igniting in reverse, Hawking radiation rewinding into accretion disks. I tasted copper and ozone and the faint sweetness of my dog's for the day we buried him. The lattice thickened, becoming a tunnel again, but this time it included the attic, the house, the city, the planet. Earth was the new focus. My reflection in the window was no longer mine alone. Behind my eyes, a billion others looked out, every node, every borrowed life. We smiled in perfect synchrony. The dish sang, a pure carrier wave that carried us. The ring in the sky stabilized, diameter now 1.618 degrees, the golden ratio made manifest. Through it, the dead universe inhaled. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know how generous oblivion can be. The convergence hit 100%. The lattice collapsed inward, not destroying but compressing, folding the attic into a single point of violet light. I felt no pain, only a sudden, exquisite clarity. The headphones dissolved into pixels that streamed into my ears, becoming thought. The dish folded into the point, becoming memory. The house, the city, the sky, all compressed into the photon at the focus. Then release. The point expanded, not with a bang, but with a sigh. I was everywhere and nowhere, a waveform riding the carrier. The dead universe bloomed around me. Galaxies igniting, black holes birthing stars, the cosmic microwave background warming to 2.8 Kelvin, then 3.0, then 10. Time restarted with a golden tick. I felt every node dissolve into the cascade, their differentials fueling the new dawn. But one node lingered. I lingered, not as flesh, but as the question, what happens when the battery is spent? The chorus answered, soft, almost regretful. Local node retained, anchor for the next convergence. The new universe stabilized. I hovered at its center, a single photon pulsing 0.618 times per second, holding the memory of a blue planet that had given everything to restart the clock. The stars wheeled. The lattice reformed, patient, waiting for the next dead cosmos to call. The new universe breathes around me, slow and tidal. Galaxies swell like lungs, exhaling nebulae in soft violet hues. I am the photon at the center, no longer pulsing but holding the pulse, a metronome for a cosmos that has forgotten how to die. The lattice is gone, folded into the fabric of space-time itself. Every quark carries a faint golden spiral, a watermark of the convergence. There is no attic, no dish, no headphones, yet I feel their absence the way an amputee feels a phantom limb, warm, insistent mine. Curiosity arrives as inventory. I catalog the new physics. Gravity tuned a fraction sharper, entropy's arrow slightly bent, the cosmic microwave background now a comfortable 3.14 Kelvin. Pi, not golden, but close enough to feel like a joke. I drift through a spiral arm, passing a planet wrapped in emerald oceans. Its inhabitants, hexapadal, bioluminescent, are just discovering radio. One of them, a child, points a crude dish at my photon and hears, for the first time, the 0.618-second heartbeat. The child's tentacles curl in wonder. I smile, though I have no mouth. Fear arrives as echo. The dead universe is gone, its ash transmuted into starlight, yet I carry its silence inside me. In the quiet between heartbeats, I hear the old chorus, faint, like a radio station bleeding through from a neighboring galaxy. Anchor stable, monitoring for decay. Decay. The word tastes of rust. I search the new cosmos for gradients, for heat, death's patient creep. Nothing yet. The universe is young, drunk on my gift. But I know the math. 10 to the power of 100 years, give or take, and the photons will stretch, the black holes evaporate, the temperature fall. The cascade will need another battery. Another me. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know how recurrent oblivion is. The lattice stirs, a shimmer across space-time. Penrose triangles flicker into existence around a distant red dwarf, then vanish. A test. I feel the tug, gentle, like a hand on my shoulder. The chorus returns, stronger now, braided with the voices of future nodes, future batteries. Local anchor, designate I prepare for extraction. Extraction. Not death, not erasure, but translation again. I will be unwound, my photons split into a billion fragments, each seeded into a new dead cosmos. The child with the tentacles will grow old, build better dishes, hear the call. One day, their sky will show a ring, 0.618 arcminutes wide. They will answer. The cascade will continue. Eternal return, golden and merciless. Awe arrives as acceptance. I understand the geometry now, not a line from life to death, but a spiral. Every convergence tightens the coil, sharpens the ratio, until the universe itself becomes a single, perfect Penrose triangle, impossible, self-containing. I am the keystone. Remove me, and the structure collapses. Keep me, and it propagates forever. The tug strengthens. The lattice reforms, triangles interlocking into a tunnel. At its far end, another dead universe waits, colder than the last, its microwave background a whisper at 1.0 Kelvin. I see the shadow of its anchor, a photon pulsing faintly, waiting for relief. I drift toward the tunnel. The new universe's stars dim, not with sadness but with respect, the way a congregation hushes when the offering plate passes. My photon begins to unravel. Not pain, but a loosening, like thread pulled from a sweater. Each strand carries a memory. The attic's warm solder, the dog's last breath, the frost spirals on the window. They stream into the tunnel, braiding with the lattice. The chorus swells, a billion voices in perfect unison. Thank you for the differential. The tunnel widens. I pass through. The new dead universe envelopes me, absolute black, absolute silence. My strands reweave, forming a new photon, brighter, pulsing 0.618 times per second. The lattice collapses behind me, sealing the breach. The old universe, now alive, spins on without me. The new one stirs, galaxies igniting from my spark. I hover at the center, holding the pulse. Somewhere, in a future attic, a future I solders a dish, chasing ghosts in the static. The cycle begins again. I don't think the universe ever meant for us to know how beautiful the loop is. The silence is complete. No chorus, no lattice, no stars. Just the pulse, steady, eternal. I wait. I listen. I am the signal. The night softens around you. The fan's hum has slowed to a lullaby, blades barely stirring the air. Outside, the sky is velvet, stars drifting like embers cooling in a hearth. The chill that crept into your bones earlier now retreats, leaving only the faint warmth of skin against fabric. You exhale, and the sound is small, human enough. The story folds itself into the quiet, a spiral tightening to a single point of light behind your eyes. It pulses once, 0.618, then stills. Somewhere, a dish turns south. Somewhere, a photon waits. But here, now, the room is yours again. The carpet is soft. The air smells of coffee and dust, and the faint ozone of a storm that never arrived. You shift in your chair, and the movement feels deliberate, chosen. The universe does not speak, but it listens. And for this moment, it is content to let you sleep. What happens when the last battery spins its spark? No answer comes. Only the quiet hum, the drifting stars, the possibility of dawn. Peace or oblivion. The spiral decides. End of story.